Good evening, Alamo City Golf Tour. My name is Michael DerManuelian. Welcome to the Alamo City Golf Tour Power Hour. Glad to have you here with us. First and foremost, want to give a shout out to our presenting sponsor, Goosehead Insurance, as well as our South Texas Match Play sponsor, Elevated Logistics, and of course, Andy Torres and NothingisOB for supporting the podcast. Guys, excited to be here with you tonight. Looking forward to talking to you about Cedar, about the event this past weekend, talk about some of the results, talk about the golf course. We're going to be talking a little bit about Brack, and we got a couple other things in store for you. But with no delay, let's go ahead and bring in your Power Hour crew. First and foremost, we're going to bring in Travis Salkowski.
What's up, everybody? Good night. Happy Tuesday night. MD, it looks like you are in a hotel room on location somewhere.
We are in Dallas this evening.
In Dallas. I'm coming to you live from the Tour Power Hour studio in my wonderful home in Spring Branch, Texas. It's going to be a great show, great Tuesday night. MD, thanks for being here. And again, I reiterate, shouting out to the sponsors. Thank you so much for your engagement and your contributions. Goosehead Insurance, the Sexton Agency, Rick Hoinsey with Elevated Logistics, the same-day delivery experts in Texas. You can call them before 3 o'clock, and it's going to get there that same day. And then, of course, NothingisOB, South Texas Golf Podcast, and Andy Torres for taking care of all the podcast whatnots and all of that stuff. And then, of course, our victory cookies with Laura Lewis and the Cake Place and more. Find her on Facebook. Her stuff is artwork.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Well, let's go ahead and bring in our next Power Hour crew member, Mr. Jason Burke.
Oh, I wasn't last. Dustin was last.
I flipped a coin.
I won the coin flip.
I
won the coin flip.
But I will not be giving you any more airtime. Let's bring in the man, the myth, the legend, Dustin Hassan.
Last but not least. The least. What's up, guys? Good evening.
How's it going?
How's it going?
Jason and
Bird.
Dustin, how's it going tonight? Jason, I'll give you some airtime. What you got tonight?
I don't know. I got a good stats segment. We can talk about an hour and a half worth of stats if you guys want.
I think that Cedar Creek this past weekend was absolutely awesome. Dustin, what do you got going on a Tuesday night?
Nothing, man. Another scorcher, trying to stay cool. Got my lemonade here. That's it, man. Hydration is the key these days, fellas.
You can't drink enough. You can't drink enough. It was 108 in my truck today.
Brutal.
Yeah, crazy.
Brutal.
So we got a great show in line for everybody tonight. We've got a recap of ACGT Tour Summer Event number 3 this past Saturday at Cedar Creek. We've got a new format coming up next on the rotation, 9-9 at Brackenridge Park. We've got a stroke play event at Riverside Open. We've got a really golf course operator perspective San Antonio golfers Facebook post that I want to talk about. And I think it's going to be a really cool show. Plus, we've got winners' pictures to go through. I love that. That's my favorite segment. I love showing the winners from the flights from the past tour event. I think that's my favorite.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, it's especially at Cedar. I think that's going to be fun to kind of roll through how everyone played. That golf course is as tricky as it gets. You mix that in with a dry, really hot day. Scores were interesting. We saw a lot of different scores. A lot of close scores too, which was super cool to see. So looking forward to going all through that.
Yeah, lots of scorecard playoffs. Only one red number gross in the entire tournament. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
That's very rare. I want to take this time and this platform to shout out the maintenance crew at Cedar Creek.
Absolutely.
I don't know if anybody watching, I know, heck yeah. There was a Facebook post that came out a couple weeks ago about a pump being down at Cedar. And then there was another Facebook post from the Alamo City Golf Trail this past Thursday saying that it was down again. So Cedar Creek hasn't had irrigation water for, I don't know exactly how long, but multiple weeks. The maintenance crew is out there with garden hoses, hand watering greens and tee boxes, and I can't say enough good things about the conditions of Cedar Creek with the hand they've been dealt the last 30-45 days in this heat. I mean,
they said they fixed a well, and then another one broke 4 days later.
I mean, you guys played. I joked last week on the podcast that it will be one of those rare experiences where the fairways are faster than the greens.
I thought the greens were pretty good.
I thought the greens were great, and I thought the fairways were great. Super fast.
Listen, I love the rollout. Anytime we can get some rollout on the fairway, that favors
Dustin
me.
loves the speed slide.
I love it, Bird.
He loves the speed slide.
That golf course, I will take as much rollout as it wants to give.
I loved the course setup that we had there. It was challenging but fair. Pace of play wasn't as good as it has been in the past couple events, but we're at Cedar Creek with those firm and fast conditions, and it hovered around 5 hours for the whole day. I thought that was great. The first
I think
group,
that's super acceptable for Cedar.
I think that's a great word. Acceptable is great.
More fast than St. Andrews is right now for the Open.
I want you to say that again because I agree with you.
I think.
The fairways at Cedar Creek were firm and fast. They were absolutely. That is professional golf, firm and fast, not conducive to amateur golf playing fast.
I agree. So the first group of the tournament finished in 4 hours and 40 minutes, and the last group of the tournament finished in 4 hours and 45 minutes. And it crept up just a touch over 5 hours in the middle of second flight. And then we were able to
fighters.
And then we were able to gain it back. First flight and second flight lost a little bit of time there in the middle, but that's okay. Those flights in the middle are the tightest handicap spread, so they're the most competitive, and we recognize that, and we understand that, and we recognize the conditions at Cedar Creek this past week were St. Andrews-esque.
Perfect. We're in Scotland.
Same temperature.
Yeah.
Same weather conditions.
The temperature might be exactly double what it is in Scotland right now. It could literally be double.
I mean, it's still 92 degrees outside, and Dustin's rocking the vest right now.
I got 88 on my watch, so it's a little chilly outside.
Yes, it did rain. It did rain the last couple days up here close to my house. I got an inch of rain yesterday. I don't know if that made it all the way into town or not.
It looked like the clouds looked like trash. I thought it was going to rain yesterday when we picked up Emma. We never saw a single thing. I was super disappointed.
I was told it rained north a lot, like in the Stone Oak area.
Oh, well, I mean, at least it touched the city a little bit. Rain is a precious commodity right now that we'll take whenever we can get it, for sure, 100%. MD, what do we got coming up?
So we'll talk a little bit more about the golf course. We'll talk a little bit more about Cedar. I certainly have some thoughts on the golf course and on the day. I'm sure these guys do as well. Really want to talk about Bracken, the 9-9. I think that this is a really unique event. Obviously, it's a new format for us. But one of the things I want to touch on is how do you prepare for a two-man event? And talk a little bit about some of the things that you can do. Just doesn't need to be, a week of thought process and planning, but just little things that you can do to prep and be ready to go play with a teammate and be on the same page, especially as we're moving into playing not only in a scramble, but alternate shot, which is going to be really crucial.
I think that's a great question. Jason Bird, how do you prepare differently for a two-person event versus stroke play last week?
Not really any different for me, I guess.
Well, and I will say, I think those first flight guys and champ flight guys maybe don't need to necessarily plan it out as much.
Right, and we're talking to Dustin, who has played with Aiken in every partner event, and Bird is playing with.
I'm playing with
Patrick.
Tommy.
We're playing with Tommy, someone who plays a lot of golf with, and then we get up there to Dad in the upper left-hand corner, MD, and he's playing with Joe Workman, who is a higher handicap.
Yep.
MD, tell us how you're getting ready for alternate shot with somebody that you don't necessarily play a ton of golf with, somebody whose handicap's a little higher than yours, and somebody who's got to play 9 holes of alternate shot with you.
The thing is that you got to know your partner's strengths, and you got to be really, kind of committed to a game plan. And the game plan that, Joe and I have put forth in previous events, we played really well together at Cedar in alternate shot. That was probably one of our best goes at it together. And what we kind of knew going in and what we had kind of prepped was, one, the golf ball. We knew alternate shot. We wanted to play a golf ball that was going to be fairly similar to each other, something that both of us would feel comfortable hitting. We found a good golf ball for that. And then also just knowing
That's a good point. That's a good point. I'm going to interrupt here. Let's say that selecting the golf ball is important, because in alternate shot, you're not switching the golf ball. You're playing the golf ball that, of the drive you selected, the other partner's hitting that golf ball. And if they're the same golf ball, awesome. If they're completely different, it could be very different for a better player in that scenario.
Yep. And so Joe and I kind of workshopped. We found a golf ball that we both play and both like. So that's kind of crucial for us. And then it's also just knowing your strengths and where your partner has some advantages. Joe gets to play from the senior tees. Joe's really solid off the tee box. The man hits the ball dead straight every time. So kind of knowing, what our strengths and weaknesses are, and just kind of making sure that we know where we need to be best prepared to support each other. And then I think the other thing too is just making sure you guys have the right attitude as a team going in, especially if it's someone that you don't play with all the time. Yep. Thank you, Morgan.
Oh, I love it. Morgan Graff, thank you for watching.
Fighting words already.
I
we got odds on that one. Who you taking there? Trav? The Graffs or MD and Joe?
MD and Joe versus Greg and Morgan net. They will be in different flights, I believe. I believe MD pulls Joe down into second, is what I believe.
Slumming in second flight.
Maybe third. I mean, this is going to be a bold statement of the night early in the show. This will be the largest tour field in the history of the Alamo City Golf Trail Tour.
That was going to be one of my big surprises.
So I'm glad I got to steal that from Jason. That's always good. That is poor communication on Jason's part. If he would have communicated that, I wouldn't have said anything. So always be on the same page as a team, guys. I am going to take... I apologize, Greg. I'm going to take MD and Joe Workman net over Morgan Graff and Greg Graff. It's going to be close. I predict a line of 1.5, with the second most likely outcome being a scorecard playoff.
I think we need to set up just a 9-hole event for fun and for bragging rights.
What we can do, though, is we can utilize Golf Genius and highlight a featured group that pins to the top.
Oh, God.
Morgan Graff. I am glad she used the laugh out loud emoji. There were so many different emojis she could have used there, but that one made me feel way more comfortable about the comment.
I also want to say, I think a strategic part of the partnership, speaking as someone who partnered with Jason Bird for many years, many shirts in my closet specifically surrounding this, you have to match. I think that's a critical piece.
I do love
one thing Aiken and I never do. We never match our outfits.
And honestly, no one cares about you as a team, even if you win.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you just tuning in, welcome to Tuesday night, July the 12th, I believe. It is 8:45 p.m. This is the Alamo City Golf Trail Tour Power Hour. My name is Travis Salkowski, alongside the podcast talent Jason Bird and Dustin Hassan, and your host with the most, the ambassador to media relations on the Alamo City Golf Trail Tour, MD. Thank you so much. I'm sorry, I felt like I had to get in the middle of that. That was going to get out of control.
Hey,
this is what happens when there's not a script.
I got to tell you that one of my lifelong goals, and I'm glad he spoke up, is I want to show up to the golf course one day matching Sandoval. Like, I got to figure it out. Like, I got to figure out a way that I know what he's going to wear without asking him, because he won't match on purpose. But I got to do it. I got to do it one day.
Get some khaki shorts and an A&M shirt.
And you gotta be able to
I mean, that's like
Yeah.
50-50. I mean, that's a coin flip
Yeah.
with some sort of old, weather-beaten, sweat-stained hat, rope hat. It's got to be a rope hat.
Like a Yeti Coolers
Oh,
hat,
gosh.
but you never know. You might bust out the King Ranch hat.
Okay, well, this is why you got to wear up. You got to bring a bunch of different stuff, get to the course, wait for him to pull through, and then just change in the
Oh, that's
walk.
a
And
good
change.
idea.
Yes,
I
it's
never thought
pregame,
of-
and have the electric razor in the car so you can match the mustache.
Yep.
when
Oh,
it
I gotta
happens.
really
Oh, yeah.
go. I gotta grow out for 6 months, then get ready for my big
6
like.
months.
I gotta get ready for my big opportunity.
This is the definition of long game. Long game is in
Yes,
effect.
long
right
game
now.
Sandoval.
Like, we're just gonna get a group of people to show up just like Sandoval to the golf course one day.
Oh my god, that would be awesome.
That would be so great.
Like,
It's
it's
just like
pick,
worst nightmare.
it's pick
He
your
always-
variation
he
and
always
just
says
wear
adults
whatever
matching
you
is
know
his worst
Sandoval wears,
nightmare.
and we're gonna have 6 people like this, 6 people like that. Perfect.
Well, I know I got multiple comments on MD's outfit last week, with the Yabba Dabba Doo Flintstone shirt. Was that last week or the week before?
That was last week.
Yep. So I got multiple comments the next day on the podcast from that. Jason Sandoval, I agree that I might turn around and leave too. I always carry a second set of clothing in my
True
vehicle
story.
whenever we go play golf, and that is a big thing for us. Is we always tell each other who's wearing what when, so that there is no unauthorized accidental
Fun
match.
fact.
Unauthorized.
Casey and Travis claimed their Kohler outfits.
Yeah, I was about
This
to
is
say.
this is not even exaggerating. 5 months ahead.
I
of the
agree.
trip.
I agree that it's set very early. Maybe later in the podcast or another podcast, we can tell a very specific red shorts story.
But this telling is like grown from the 6-inch fish to a 6-foot fish.
I think it's a 16-foot fish by now, but all of them
Yes.
true. Every version of the story is accurate. It's like
Oh yes,
it's like the
every
lady
version.
in the Pirates of the Caribbean. There's so many different versions, and they are all true.
Yeah, the group knows it. If we call a look, just don't bother us.
It's a
And
loot.
I don't actually worry about it. I mean, the only thing I don't have are South Texas match play stuff. So I know no one's wearing them.
going.
I'll say it.
So
But I know
and that's
none
where
of
it started. And that's where it started because there's so many players that we play golf with
Right.
that have South Texas Match Play Challenge outfits, and you never want to roll in samesies matching unless it's designed, right? It's a 2-person event. Joe Workman and MD are gonna match. That's awesome. If you roll in to a off weekend grudge
Chicken
match,
Eagle?
for lack of a better term, and you
Yeah.
accidentally match with somebody, that's a really bad feeling.
I mean,
Oh,
I love the Baldo Jason Bird match on Saturday.
Waldo wore my shirt.
That's exactly what we're talking about.
Twinsies all day.
Oh, freaking Baldo. I love that guy, but man, he was wearing my shirt.
Baldo always finds a way to be there at the end, no matter what. Every tournament, Baldo is always in it. I am really looking forward to the Brackenridge Park 9-9.
It's gonna be so much fun.
I love new formats. I love
I got the official word from, the tour's amateur, not really an agronomist, Jason Sandoval, that Brack is back.
Brack is back.
Brack is back. Oh, we should have had a graphic for that.
That's a shirt. That's a hat.
I am told on great authority by a man I trust dearly that the greens are back. The fairways
Well,
are
when we had Ruben on the show 3 weeks ago,
Yep.
he said that it was going to be ready for us on the 24th. Those bunkers you can officially see from the International Space Station.
Yeah,
They are good. I'm excited to be back to Brack. I was looking at the calendar, and we have not been at Brackenridge Park since February.
Yeah.
Sounds,
Well,
seems
I mean,
it's, I believe that.
our partners with the trail did us a solid and
Travis,
moved the Masters.
I'm sorry.
Well-
I'm sorry. January 29th was the last tournament we had at Brackenridge Park. Over 6 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
So Travis, talk me through, or kind of tell me what kind of went into the thought process of generating a different format. Was it just something you wanted to try and do differently, or something that you guys had talked about, you and Jason had talked about? How did that kind of come about?
It's a great question. So, in somewhere around the middle of the summer, Jason and I get together and we work with the trail on the schedule for the following season. So that happens 6-7 months in advance. It's already happened for next year already. And when we were working on this last summer, we wanted a new. I'm sorry, I just saw that comment. That was dumb. Can we pull that one in? Yes, that's great. That is like a showstopper. Yeah. And the year before, in 2021, we had a 2-person 2-day event. We tried that. It was something new. I thought it was really cool. And that event was at Cedar Creek too, actually. And it was shortened because of fog.
Yep, I remember that.
And I really wanted to do that again. And we couldn't get the dates that we wanted for a scramble, 18-hole scramble, 18-hole alt shot. So we condensed that into one round. We never play scrambles. Scrambles are the most friendly way to get new golfers comfortable in a tournament setting, right? Scramble is the easiest format. You're never on your own. And then immediately partner that with alternate shot, and you're on an island by yourself. And it turns this amazing 2-day format into a really super cool new 1-day format. And I have a feeling, and those of you that know me my mind works in bell curves, right? And I have a feeling this tournament is going to be amazing. And I'm so looking forward to the stats from the 9-9 section with Bird on the podcast afterwards, because this tournament is going to go scramble, 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 alternate shot, alternate shot, alternate shot, alternate shot.
Yeah.
And I just think that's going to be provide some really cool stories, some really cool player interviews. And it puts a ton of pressure on the player on the back nine, watching their under par scramble score just tick away.
Yeah. There's going to be a level of mentality you got to have to.
Alt shot on 14, alt shot on 18 to finish. Woo, 17.
But I think this is a lot comes down to planning and having a game plan. I think you can avoid some of these things that you're sitting there saying, oh no, I'm worried about 14, or I'm worried about.
Yeah, I'll just drive the green.
I think there is a legitimate game plan to go in and play with that can remove some barriers potentially, especially in an alt shot when you're getting 2 off the tee there.
Yes, it is modified alternate shot. That's a really good point. We haven't said that tonight. It is scramble and modified alternate shot. That is where both team members hit a tee shot on every hole, and then you choose the one you want to play, and your partner hits that shot. So that's it's fun. It's night and day. It's a little Jekyll and Hyde of the golf formats kind of merged together into one. And we've never done a 9-9. It's always been a 6-6-6, or we tried 2 days with different formats. This format is going to populate in Golf Genius perfectly. It should be seamless. I love that. Can you pull that question in from Morgan a couple minutes ago? The answer to that question is yes. There was a 18-hole alternate shot at Cedar, double points in the spring season. We try to have one alternate shot 18-hole tournament a season. That started a couple seasons ago, and I love that format. It's sometimes a little slow for pace of play, sometimes a little fast for pace of play. It really highlights good golf and really showcases poor golf. I love alternate shot. It's is super fun. Dustin, what are your thoughts going into the new format? What are you looking forward to the most? 9-9, scramble, alt shot.
I think for the regulars or people who have played in the 666s, that you have, you don't want to just overthink it and overcomplicate it. I mean, when we're playing these 666s, most of the time we play it at Brack. You're playing 13 through 18 alt shot already. So, if you play with the same partner and you play in those 666s, you really just got to throw in 10, 11, 12 as additional alt shot holes, which, I mean, anything can happen on those 3 holes, but, the point I'm trying to make is you don't want to overthink it. The scramble format on the front 9 is, I think, a great way to go low, really post a number. And then, MD makes a great point. You have a game plan with your partner. You kind of know each other's games. Who says you got to go out there and give up a lot of shots in alt shot?
Right. You don't have to. You're right. And
right.
I've kind of had maybe a comically negative attitude towards alternate shot in the first 20 minutes of the show, right? Just because it's hard, and that's where friendships go to die is alternate shot, But you bring up a really good point in the 666 at Brack, which almost always starts the spring season. You're playing 13 through 18 alt shot already. That's a great point. So there's some history there.
Yep.
10 is a par 3. You get 2 tee shots on that par 3, and hopefully it's just a putt. 11 is a short par 4, so hopefully it's less than 100 yards for the second shot. Now that back bunker is gone, I would be willing to guess that the Alamo City Golf Trail Tour course setup committee puts number 11 in the front right. I would be willing to bet that happens.
Corner.
Yep. Bringing that bunker into play on that short par 4. I would also be willing to bet that because the Masters was moved from Brackenridge Park to Olmos Basin, that very same ACGT Tour course setup committee will use a lot of those traditional Masters hole locations.
I think it's safe to bet that the scramble holes are going to have really tough flags.
As they should, I think.
As they should.
I think so as well. I think that the course setup has been very fair at Cedar Creek, very fair at Willow Springs, and very, very fair at Northern Hills. I think it's we're three events into the summer season. This is a double points event coming up. It is close to separating the winners from the losers here. Double points, alternate shot. I would be willing to bet that we see some stuffage. On
Stuffage.
Yes.
I think, again, to your point, Travis, I think that this will be the weekend where we start to see the real separator here in points. This is where some of the guys who are in those top positions, if they put up another good round, this is where they start to kind of.
I agree completely. If you can survive this going into the sizzling summer Southside swing. Oh, I said it right. That was great.
Right.
Great.
This one's going to separate. This double points is going to separate it, and then we go down to standard points at Riverside and Mission, and then there's only 2 events left. So,
but I will say though, it is nice that we're doing the double points here, but Riverside and Mission are going to be stroke play, and.
I just looked at that calendar. That just caught me as a wow. There are only 5 events left.
Yep. Not a lot of events left, and 2 of them are stroke play. And I think that that's a really cool call out too, because I mean, there's a lot more variables into play here when you're playing 3 more stroke play events. Excuse me, I apologize. That's right, because we'll be at
back to Olmos Basin.
We'll be back at Olmos. And the best thing about I love stroke play events because it is all on the individual player. I love playing the team events. It's always nice to have a teammate that you're playing with that you can compete with and try and win and get that position. But stroke play, man. I love having it all on that one person, and there's going to be some good opportunity for stroke play to make up the difference in the point standings as we go.
It's the tour's farewell to Riverside before it goes under renovation.
When did we officially see them go down? It's in September?
No, I think they go like November or something.
November? Okay. DH, we're back.
All right, I'm here. I apologize. I had technical difficulties.
Technical difficulties, just like
yes. DH. I'm back. I'm sorry. What did I miss?
No, nothing. Just talking about, hey, we got 3 of the last 5 events are going to be stroke play. I think this coming weekend at Brack is going to be a great way to kind of separate yourself in the race and points. But I think there's always that part of stroke play where it is all on you, and you got to go out there and play your game. You can't rely on a partner. Points are in my opinion, I think that the stroke play points are far more precious points, just because they're yours to really win or yours to lose.
I agree. I'm really looking forward to the 9-9 first. I love new formats. I love Brackenridge Park. It's my favorite course in the city. I was the head golf professional there for a long time. It was my first head golf professional position in my golf career. So it really holds some emotional value in who I am as a golf pro. And I love that I'm a municipal golf pro, and I can't wait to go back to Brack for a new format. I'm excited.
Back to Brack.
There's something about driving up to Brack, getting out there to the putting green, starting to see everyone. It's nice to watch everyone tee off right there. And it's a beautiful facility in general as well. So it's gonna be really cool to be back.
I agree. I love standing on the putting green there, looking at the big clock, and looking at the 1923 up on the front of the clubhouse, and the names in the Texas Golf Hall of Fame who played there. And I love it. I love Brackenridge Park. I love history. I love history in golf. Big money golf, as we know it, started at the Texas Open in 1922 at Brackenridge Park. I love it.
Yep, absolutely. So, jumping back into Cedar, Jaybird, do you have any good? Do we want to talk stats about Cedar a little bit?
A couple things stood out to me. I always expect 12 or number 6 to play the hardest, and it did for the lower flights, as in 3rd and 4th, the higher handicaps. So the course ratings held up there. I know, looking at it this afternoon, I just could not believe the stroke averages in Champ Flight and First Flight for some of these holes. Like Champ Flight and First Flight combined, you know what the most difficult hole was?
We are talking Cedar Creek. For everybody just joining us, we are talking stat section at Cedar Creek last week, Saturday, spring event number 3, individual stroke play. There were 5 flights, 115 golfers, 5 flights. And we are talking about the most difficult hole for championship flight and first flight. Is that accurate?
Yes, I have them parsed out as combined. So that's
because they played the blacks. Champ and first flight played the blacks.
Correct.
Danny, I'm surprised that you said that. I saw a lot of big numbers on hole number 9 there. Danny Lee, thanks for watching. I know did he have a 9 on 9? That's a great promo going into the 9-9 at Brack. Danny Lee had a 9 on 9 at Cedar Creek last weekend. But I have a feeling it's not going to be number 9.
Double Deej.
I know what my worst hole was. I can't imagine that was the worst hole of the thing. I'm going to say.
Dustin, care to give a guess what the hardest hole
you know what? I'm kind of with you, but I always go to 12. I always think 12, that always jumps out at me. I would say 12 or maybe even 18.
I thought 18 jumped into my mind.
Yeah. It can be a tough driving hole.
Fun fact, 18th was the 4th easiest hole from the black tee.
Okay, terrific. That's great. Okay, we were talking championship flight, most difficult hole for champ and first flight black tees this past weekend at Cedar. Not there. I don't think it was that one. That one was pretty easy. How about that one?
4 iron
was driver wedge, iron. Easy 3. 12, like 12-12? Like 12-12. Old number 3, driver wedge. I think that's different world.
I've never hit driver wedge.
Never hit driver wedge there. Never.
I did. I hit driver wedge and made birdie on 12.
Oh, of course you did, Bird.
I hit a 4 iron to 150 out and flipped a 9 iron on.
There was a tough hole location on 16.
4 birdies on 12.
16
right above the bowl was a tricky little spot there too.
13's always quirky, but it's not terribly difficult because it's not driver off the tee most of the time.
What about
we had 3 birdies and a par on 13 in my group.
Okay, perfect. You know what? I'm gonna go
7 birdies on number 13, and that played as the 9th hardest hole.
I'm going to say number 8. That whole location on number 8 was exceptionally dirty.
That was a tricky little spot.
So I'm going to say hole number 8.
That's a good one to throw in there.
Number 8 is a very good guess. It played as the 2nd hardest hole from the blacks.
All right. I got the number 2 item on Family Feud with Steve Harvey.
Yes, you did.
Can anybody beat me?
Can anybody get? No, it is Danny Lee. He was correct. It was number 9.
It was number 9 all the way. Way to go, Jason Berg. Way to keep the segment rolling when Danny Lee had it guessed in the first 5 seconds. Way to keep the segment rolling. That is good TV,
you think of this
folks.
Downwind, downhill, par 5.
I would not guess
almost
that.
Everyone's firing at it too.
But
I just blew my mind that it held up not just for champ flight and first flight and for those combined but for the other flights, it was the 3rd easiest hole.
If you missed left of that pin, you were potentially going to run off the green, and it was fast down the grass.
I've never seen a difficulty like gap like that before. Usually, if it's the hardest hole for champ flight, it's usually within the top 5 for the higher handicaps. The higher handicaps, that was their 3rd easiest hole. But for the champ flight, it was the hardest.
Let's take some time to dive into that. Why do we think that? Do we think that's because champ flight and first flight are for sure going at that in 2 and hitting it into the water or those bunkers and getting on the wrong side? And
I think I was just going to say that. I think you're right, Travis. And the long hitters, those first flight, champ flight, they're bombing it down there, and they've got 180 into the green.
And 3rd and 4th flight have to go driver, 5 iron, 70-yard shot, and that's.
I hit 3-wood, 6 iron to 50 yards, and knocked it up to 5 feet. I think, but I don't
like 3rd flight great to me right there.
Yeah, I mean, the stroke average in champ flight is right at 6, and the stroke average at first flight is just under 6. So first flight played it a little bit better, but you go to the stroke average of, let's just pick out second flight, 5.9, lower than both flights.
I mean, I made bogey.
It's a tee box shorter.
Okay.
It's 20 yards shorter. Now that is a great statistic. That is a 1/10 of a stroke gained at 20 yards. That is exactly what the metric says.
Yeah, but they also have 5 extra handicap, 10 extra handicap. You would expect the champ fighters to.
And then let's keep going with this. What 3rd flight do there?
3rd flight on that did 6.1.
So right in the center of that bell curve. What about 4th flight? Highest handicappers, stroke play, hole number 9, Cedar Creek last week.
6.1,
6.1, 6.15.
From the greens, they play.
Check this out. It's going to be like 5.75.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's going to be something.
6.4.
6.4. So that trends pretty accurately. But it's interesting that easy, what we would all on here call an easy par 5, right? All four of us here would call that an easy par 5.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That is mind-boggling.
There were 3 others.
And that pin right up front. That pin in a very accessible location.
3 others on number
But that's
9.
my point, though, is that if you missed, I hit laid up to a spot. I didn't hit a great second shot. I was stuck in a bad spot. I had to punch it out. And I'm 140 yards out. Should just be, an easy pitching wedge or 9-iron in. I landed pin high, but maybe a foot on the green left of the pin, and it just kept going off the side and down into the
and then you've got that downhill 90-degree right-hand turning chip. I love it.
Yeah,
I think that's great. I think the 3 others from Champ Flight there drove that average over first flight. Yeah.
There were 3 others in Champ Flight, and there were 5 others in the rest of the field total. So Champ Flight made 3 others in the rest of the field of 5 on number 9.
So what hole was the largest discrepancy between Champ and first and fourth?
What was the question? I'm sorry.
What was the largest discrepancy? The largest, so the easiest hole for Champ Flighters versus the largest jump for fourth
The
flighters.
easiest hole for
what was
Champ.
basically my question is what in our event, what was the number 1 handicap hole outcomes formula? Where did the fourth flighter need the stroke the most to tie the Champ Flighter?
I think it's 100% without a doubt number 6.
Excellent. And that's what the scorecard says. That is what
number
the scorecard
6 says. Number 6, if you take out the black tee, so first flight and Champ Flight, was the hardest hole between the rest of the flights. Number 6. That being said, number 6 was the easiest hole for the black tees.
And there we
18.
go. That is the definition of the number 1 handicap.
Great
hole.
stat. Yeah.
Where is the largest discrepancy there? Where does the fourth flighter need to pop the most to tie the scratch golfer? Not what hole is the hardest. Not what hole is the easiest, but where does that golfer need the stroke the most to tie the Champ golfer? And in this case, it rings true on the scorecard. Awesome job rating Cedar Creek with some data here. That's great. I love that.
We saw a 2 on number 6.
Excellent.
Eagle,
okay.
From 100 yards. And then there was a birdie in my group also.
Wow.
On that
Twos from the fairway are fun. That is,
oh, yeah.
That's
6 pin was sketchy, I heard.
I don't think there were any. I thought the pins were really. I think they were fine. I think they were
number 8
pins,
pin
but I
was
don't think they were sketchy.
disgusting. Number
8 was
pin
dirty.
disgusting.
I mean, it was a tough pin. I don't think there was any but
So
there were
let's-
some difficult locations at the base of slopes.
Yes, so
made you
number
think a little bit.
8 and number 9, you had to be on the right spot. DH, I
right.
agree with you
That's
completely.
right. You saw where I
love
was
it.
putting on 8.
Yeah.
I left it up on top, and it
I
didn't
left it
get
up
all
on
the way
top, too.
down. And that putt it's snake all day.
Yeah, they're just interesting stats. I think I'm glad you asked that, Travis, because number 6 was going to be my next talking point, how it played so easy from the black tees, but everyone else struggled with it.
Yeah, and
What do you think that's about? The bunker right there at the elbow? You think that's what it is?
I watched. I mean, all the guys in my group playing from the greens.
And
That-
that's another
Made it tricky.
example of trouble right. Trouble
Yes.
right quick. You get to that cart path quick, and you get to the rocks on the other side quicker. So trouble right for higher handicappers is going to bring that score up statistically.
That's true. You always say that. I didn't even think about it.
Well, we're talking about Cedar Creek. What else do we got from Cedar Creek? It was a huge turnout. It was our largest stroke play field at Cedar Creek in tour history. We hadn't had a stroke play event at Cedar Creek since 2019. Bird went back and looked. That was a cool stat, I thought.
That is. I would have never guessed that.
I thought the course staff from Fred Garcia, the course manager there, and all of the golf staff at Cedar were awesome. I thought the maintenance crew was great. I thought the pace of play was great. I enjoy going to Cedar Creek. I like it. It is a unique golf course on the trail. It's fun to play. It needs to be played the way it needs to be played.
I hit driving iron like off every tee box.
That is exactly what I'm talking about. I didn't exactly know how to say that another way, but you can't go out there and play Cedar like you play Willow.
Yeah, I didn't hit driver till 12.
This is part of planning. I didn't. I had one of the guys in the group comment. He's like, "Have you touched your driver today?" I'm like, "No. Driving iron was what I committed to hitting all day today. As long as I can keep it in the fairway, that ball's going to roll out all day."
The ball's rolling all day for sure.
I think that's fun, and it's Cedar Creek is so unique and so different. I love it for so many different reasons, and then it's challenging as a golf course tournament operator for so many reasons as well, right? It's difficult to navigate the native areas. Like, how do you write a rule for the native areas, right? And then how do you expedite pace of play around that rule when there's potentially so many gray areas 5 feet off the fairway, especially when the fairways are rolling 14.
I mean, I hit driving iron on that first par 5, and that ball went forever.
Yep.
I think that ended up being like a 290 iron or something like that.
It's just different. You just have to play it different. And I love Casey Carnes's comment there. You have to play it how it was meant to be played, right? That's I guess that's what I was trying to say before. You have to really use the contours and the landing areas in the fairway, and you can't just bomb it.
So, Travis, what is your strategy for playing 18?
My strategy for playing hole number 18, old number 9 at Cedar, par 4, up over the hill and down below. Flag was middle left, so pretty accessible. It's only 165 yards from the top of that hill. If historically, when I've played Cedar, I've tried to be up in that 155 to 170 range. I am a good mid-iron player. That's a strength for me. So I enjoy being in that knockdown 3-finger 7-iron range. That's a go-to shot for me. So I would try to stay back more on number 18 to give myself a full shot in, because you can't control the golf ball when it crests that hill. You are no longer in control, and you are at the mercy of gravity, the golf gods, and whatever
friction
cart path extension relief you're going to get, right? So it all depends on your lie there. But I try to play that hole where I lay way back and have stock 7-iron down that hill. I've hit 6-iron into there before. I mean, I'm sure I've hit more than that into there before, but I do not enjoy being at that 80-yard mark alongside the cart path on that hole. That would not be advantageous to finishing with a good score.
I agree. I laid back too. I don't know any other way to play that hole. It was just a little topic of conversation in our group. I think everyone hit driver. I can't do it. It gets down in the trees. I make way higher scores in the trees than I was just going 4-iron, 5-iron.
Yeah, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like a 380, 385 hole to begin with, right?
No, it's like 460.
No, not 460, but it's
No,
I think it's
like
close to 4.
Maybe
18 on the card is from the black tees is.
And it was up a little bit, so let's take 20
No,
off
not
what
on
the
the
card
black,
says.
it was.
No, it
not,
was
not
back.
for the
Yeah,
Bullets.
it was
It
pretty.
was all the way back.
460 on the card for 18.
See, that doesn't feel right.
Very good. That feels really long.
I mean, DH, how did you play that hole?
I hit driver, and I took it. I mean, it's about as far left as you can go up on the top of that hill, and it actually bounced a little left. I thought to myself, wow, how did I hit the only spot in this fairway where it's not going to come back to the right? And we drove up there. We didn't see anything, and we looked down to the right side, and there was a ball literally just off of the fairway, inside the tree line. I had like 140 in, 135 in. I had an open shot. So that's probably the best drive I've ever hit on that hole.
I was completely – when my group rolled up to their shots, it was almost comical because I hit my driving iron. I put it up top left and let it come back down. I was about 150 yards out. But the other 3 guys in my group hit drivers, and I swear to God, within 2 feet of each other, 3 golf balls. They all were in the same spot. It was nuts.
I'm sitting here floored right now that has got to be the shortest 460 yards in the history of golf.
I hit 4 iron and I had 230 left. So
I feel like
it just doesn't seem that long, but
I guess that slope over that hill just is a speed slide, you know?
I mean, I hit the driving iron, and obviously I play a draw. And mine, I think, and Casey said it, take it, I'm going to put it up here. Oh, where'd it go? Take it down.
That's a good point. That's a good point. That's some pinpoint accuracy. That the top half of 18. I'm sorry. The top half of 18 fairway on the right side, the very right side at about the 160 mark, bounces pretty hard to the left.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty good point. That's a good call out. Thanks for watching, C2. We appreciate that.
I hit my draw. It landed on the bottom shelf, almost at the base before it starts slanting up to that top shelf. And I think I just had enough kick going right that it didn't completely shoot it off and out into the trees. I was close.
I guess it's longer than I think it is. Steven said 2 years ago in the match play he hit hybrid there. So I mean, I guess it's.
But I also think conditions are different. Obviously, it's super dry.
Yeah.
I think if
it's
you
still
hit
dry right now.
A driver, if you got the power and you hit something low and bullet, it'll run.
I want to ask the viewers a question. We've got some good players watching right now. We got Danny Lee watching for sure, Stephen Evans, Casey Carnes. There's some good players watching. I would love to hear some comments, and I would love to hear from MD, Jason, and Dustin now, who have played on tour for 7, 8, 9, 10 years. How do we like the 9s flipped? What are your thoughts on starting on top of the hill versus starting below, and versus finishing on the hole we're talking about versus finishing on?
I am very passionate about this.
Okay,
I think finishing on.
I want MD to go last. I want MD to go. Look at him shift in his chair. He is chomping at the bit of speed. Yeah, let's go. Let's go JB first, then Dustin, and then maybe take some comments from the audience, and then we'll get to MD.
I have 2 main points to make. I think the current routing, the first 2 tee shots are just much more difficult than the first 2 tee shots were to begin with. Like right out the gate, you got to hit a good shot on 1. You got to hit a good shot on 2. That being said, I like that aspect of it. I do. I like that aspect of it. You got to come with it to begin with. The thing I don't like about it is I think finishing on the current hole, the current 18, is like a wet fart. I think that hole is goofy. I think it's not conducive like the old 18 was to someone attacking for eagle or birdie to tie. I think it's a very defensive hole. I always play it 4 iron, 5 iron. I mean, it's not one that someone can go get. It's janky and goofy. So I like that it starts on 1 and 2 now. I like the current 1 and 2, but I think the current 18 is a wet fart.
I'm not going to use the same terminology there that JB used, but if you'd asked me this question, those would be the 2 bullet points that I would say as a tournament director, tournament operations, golf course operator. 95% of amateur golfers miss the ball to the right. You cannot do that on number 1 now. You certainly could do that on number 10, the old number 1, and be in number 9's fairway, and your ball is in play and you can advance it again. And I also like Jason's point where, again, before we got to the core statistics part of tonight, we all would have said that is an easy par 5 to finish on, and you can go get eagle or go get birdie to win the tournament if you're scoreboard watching. That is tough on the current 18, the old number 9 that we were just talking about. Dustin, what are your thoughts on the course flippage?
Some of the same sentiment. I think that number. I've typically have a tendency to bail out on the first tee shot of the day, and that standing on number 1 currently. It's not a comfortable shot to start your day at Cedar Creek when you already know you got a difficult 18 holes ahead of you. So now you're staring at a tee shot where you can't really bail out right. You got out of bounds left if you happen to pull something or snap something, and get a little snappy with the driving range there. So it makes it difficult. And then finishing on 18, you said it before, you leave a lot up to gravity, a lot up to the roll, a lot up to Bird said the friction. And I don't know that it really rewards you as much there to finish on 18. You kind of hit a good shot, maybe end up in a poor spot just because of the slope is so severe. Whereas on 18, on 9, I guess currently, it's not nearly as bad.
It's tough to talk back and forth.
Make eagle. Yeah, it's just so. I'd rather finish on the par 5. The first tee shot is tough, knowing that you've got a difficult road ahead of you anyway.
And then I got one more comment, and then we'll let MD talk.
I got one too. I just thought of something. You go first.
And I'm speaking from a golf course operator point of perspective in this one. You go down the hill to the driving range. You come back up the hill now to number 1. That leaves you at the bottom of the hill from 9 to 10. There is no food and beverage service at the turn.
That was my next point. So we mentioned how the pace of play was better this stroke play event. Do you think it's better because nobody went inside for food and beverage?
Correct. Yep. So that is another pace of play killer. You come off number 9, the par 5, and number 10 tee box is 10 feet away from that green. However, there is no food and beverage service. Now, the Bev Cart girl was parked there for a while, so I thought that was clever. But all it takes is one foursome to go up that hill to grab hot dogs and sandwiches, and pace of play is done. So I know the trail has talked about food and beverage down there. I'd love to see it in the future. I think it'd be really cool. Great points, everybody. Dustin, I love that. JB, I love that. We're on the same page there. Seeing the comments, it's great. I agree completely with Casey Carnes. It's a much harder finish. People agree that it's fun to play the tougher routing, and this routing is tougher. All right, MD, I've made you wait 5 minutes to get to this. You're passionate about this. Let's hear your thoughts. The host with the mostest. Here we go. MD, tell us about the flipping of the 9s at Cedar Creek for you.
So Cedar is where I would say I probably have played the most golf. I've spent the most time just because I lived by the golf course. So that was my go-to place. I love that golf course. I think it's awesome. I love how difficult it can be. And just out of curiosity, Jason Berg, while I'm on my rant, can you verify for us which 9 statistically plays the hardest for the flights? Like, let's just say first and champ flight.
And then I would also like to see 1, 2, 3 versus 10, 11, 12.
Yeah. Just out of
So
curiosity.
you want to know which 9 plays the easiest for which flight?
So let's
The
let's
whole
just go
field.
across
I mean,
the
we can break out champ flight if you want, but I agree with MD. Let's see which 9 played more difficult, and then let's see which starting 3 played more difficult, because we can attribute that directly to pace of play.
Full field stroke average was 45 on both sides.
Okay.
It's statistically insignificant.
Okay.
And then let's see hole 1, 2, and 3 versus 10, 11, 12.
Now, if you break it out into first flight played the first 9 way better than the back 9. So,
Okay,
So-
cool.
weird, right? I don't know.
And I think the
Third
first
flight played the back 9 easier by a lot. So I don't know if there's a rhyme
That's
or
great.
reason to it.
Yeah, maybe not.
I mean, this doesn't really help define my case at all
That
here,
was-
then.
Jason, you weren't
Ah.
supposed to come with the stats before MD's bullet
Oh,
points.
my bad. Okay,
You
my
were supposed to
bad.
take a little bit more time there.
I
Oh,
Getting that,
I have,
let's-
I have the database of stats up right now, so it's easy for me to parse it.
in my personal opinion, I think that the original layout personally is my favorite. Now, the reason for that is that I personally find the old front 9 to be more challenging, especially the first, let's say, 3 or 4 holes. I like that strictly because, one, I like starting off on harder holes. I like to be put up against something a little bit tougher to start out. It kind of helps me get a sense of where I'm at in my nerves and where I'm at in my mental state going into the rest of the back 9 and how I need to kind of.
You think the bottom of the hill is harder first 3 holes than the top of the hill first?
I
3
think
holes?
what we're playing as now, the old back 9, I think those are harder holes. In my opinion. It's my opinion. I think those
You think
holes.
the bottom of the hill or the top of the hill are the harder 9?
No, the
The
top
bottom
of the hill. He's talking top of the hill.
I'm saying what we're playing as 10, 11, and 12.
The bottom of the hill is hard.
That's
The
the
bottom of the hill, I think, is harder.
Sorry.
I think
negative. The stats would tell you are.
I
And
also
100% wrong.
and this is MD's opinion for MD's game. That's
I
where
agree.
he is. That is where he is and he left. That's perfect. That's great. That's there we go.
just tell me I'm a piece of shit.
It's okay. I think that the current number 1 tee shot is so much more difficult than the current number 10 tee shot.
And I just don't ever feel that way. And maybe that's me as someone who has a really strong draw bias. And
True that's right. But I'm also not, I guess I'm defining difficulty as the ability to hit your ball again. That's it. That's the only metric that's going through my head. The right ball on hole number 1 now is gone. The right ball on hole number 10 now is in play 100 times out of 100. And I just think that is the only metric that's going through my head is
and I think
can
there's a
we
good
advance the
call
ball
out.
again?
I think there's a good call out here by Carnes. Maybe I'm not, and maybe I'm interpreting it how I want to interpret it. I would say that if I were to go play it as the course is today, like this weekend, I played the front 9 worse than the back 9. I did play the back 9 better.
Beep. I have a great idea. Let's talk future new format. However, we'll have a same format and we'll just flip the 9s. 2-day at Cedar Creek, starting on hole number 1 one day, starting on hole number 10 one day.
Oh, okay.
I love it.
So
It doesn't have to be stroke play. It doesn't have to be a major 2-day stroke event, But let's put that on the good old dartboard for future of some sort of brainstorming that's come out of this segment on the podcast.
I think I like to think Cedar gets the appreciation it deserves for the difficulty that it provides to a round of golf. Brack, I think, is gorgeous. Almost obviously looks beautiful. For me, Cedar is truly one of my favorite golf courses in San Antonio. I just love the challenge that it provides. I love the strategic golf that you need to play around it. And
I do too.
For
It's
me,
different.
I think, again, I think that's a good call out. A 2-day event starting on 1 the first day, starting on 10 the second day, I think I think in itself would automatically be challenging. And it would immediately change how people are going to have to adjust.
I think that would be cool. I think
So
that would be cool.
You think the 3 holes on the bottom of the hill, the current 10, 11, 12 play harder than the current
Yeah,
1,
it's
2, 3?
crazy too. I think it's crazy as well, but there's been a couple of comments that agree with them.
But
I just parsed the stats. There's only one group in this tournament field where that is true for.
But again, they've already played 9 holes and are warmed up. Casey Carnes had a good call out. Well, what's the difference between being warmed up versus not warmed up? I can
Bad
tell
preparation.
you that historically, when I would go play Cedar in any tournament, if you go pull my stats, you can go pull my first 3 versus the new first 3. The stats always are going to look different because when I get down to the hill and it's my first tee shot of the day and I'm down in the hill or down in the valley, I was usually not going to be doing well in the first 3 holes. My goal was to survive the first 3 holes when I wasn't warmed up.
Check this out. MD works the ball right to left hard. Travis and Dustin and Jason, Jason works the ball right to left a little bit too, but Dustin and I work the ball left to right more. And we're saying the bottom of the hill is easier, and MD saying the top of the hill is easier, and they're just 2 completely different shot shapes. I
have the stats from
you.
2019. I have the stats from 2019 when we played it the other way.
I agree with MD's statement for MD with MD's ball flight. I think that is an accurate statement. I think it makes sense.
Yes.
Going down to the bottom of the hill, that fairway is pitched hard right to left. MD's working the ball right to left hard, and it's 105 degrees out and fast as shit. I understand where that's a scary shot. I get that. That makes sense. But then I go up to the top of the hill, and my miss is a 247-yard high spinning cut, and my ball is now gone on hole number 1 the way it is if I miss it a little bit, right? I'm in no danger of going left on the bottom of the hill ever. Right? So I agree with MD that if you work the ball right to left, that
represent the people, Travis.
I mean, even in 2019 stroke play at Cedar Creek, the easier 3 holes were the bottom of the hill by a lot. For all flights.
I thought the bottom of the hill first 3 holes played super easy when I made the turn to it.
Well, and then now there's I love this. And this is why our sport is so cool, because every single person here is contributing, is attributing what we're saying to their individual game. And now yes. MD's like, I don't like that hole because I hit the ball right to left and I'm scared to go left. And then let's look at the comment from Steven where it's like, I hit the ball right to left. I want to use those contours at the bottom of the hill. I like that better. I prefer the bottom of the hill working it right to left. So it's the same shot shape, but a different feeling from the player about how they're going to navigate that. This has been a great conversation. This is great. I love that.
I can see where MD doesn't like it because he plays what I would call a very aggressive draw. That ball will chase out like a scalded dog. I played with Steve Evans enough to know he plays more of that traditional push draw. I mean, MD's hitting a very aggressive draw, so I can see how his runs out.
I would like. He's working hard on that. He's a nice lady.
What? I mean, I played enough golf with MD to know his draw is a power draw.
It's getting straighter.
It is
carving. It is 100%, and I love it. And that's why our sport's so cool. Because everyone's playing their own game, and seeing things with their own mind's eye and their own creativity. There we go. Look at that. Yeah. Bam. And that's what makes our sport so cool, is that you sometimes you are out there by yourself and seeing it completely different, and seeing a putt break a different way, or the slope break a different way, or using the contours on a golf course versus playing against the contours or staying away from the contours. It's really neat to see that we're talking about the same thing with ridiculously different opinions, and they're all right. And I just think that's really cool.
Oh, but then I have stats. And your opinion suck. Stats rule.
Well, the task force runs on stats and numbers, right? So I said a couple times when we were scoring at Cedar Creek, and this is going to lead us into the scoring segment. We've been on for over an hour already, and I want to make sure we get to the recaps and the flight winners and all that stuff. But I love going to Cedar Creek, and we'll get that into the score recap here. I love using the phrase "regress to the mean." I love that phrase. And Cedar Creek absolutely does that. It brings you to your knees and makes you hit the shots that you necessarily don't want to hit, but it's the shots you have to hit because it's Cedar and it's different. And I think that's really cool. And the last 20 minutes, we've talked about hitting the same shots and producing different results from different players on the same hole, and everyone's right. And then Burke comes back with stats that are one way for one flight and the exact opposite way for another flight. And it's just everyone's right on how they want to play the hole until they make a 10 on an easy par 5.
Ooh, I have some stats from the 2018 PC Open at Cedar Creek.
2018 PC Open Cedar Creek. That was 2018. That was won by Michael Freeman or Zach Johnson.
I think, wasn't it Zach?
I wasn't alive back then.
I don't know. I can't go back that far.
The bottom of the hill played. The bottom of the hill for both rounds played easier on all flights too. So.
And again, the only metric in my head when we're talking about difficulty there is the ability to hit the ball again. And that does not happen right of the cart path on the current number one.
I agree.
That's the only metric that's going through my head.
I mean,
was that what year did Greg Graff win the PC Open? Was that 18 or 19?
I thought it was 18.
What year is it now? It's 2022. It may have been 2020.
What time is it?
I don't know. It is time for the Alamo City Golf Trail Tour Power Hour to get to the flight winners from Cedar Creek last week. It was 2020. Greg Graff won in 2020 because we went to Brackenridge like 2 weeks later.
Oh, then why don't we have that in the database? Do we delete that out of Golf Genius? I don't have that.
I don't know.
Well, let's start moving on. Let's talk a little bit about scores. Let's talk about the flight winners and some of the top finishes there. Let's jump into that a little bit.
Yeah, let's do it. MD. We got pictures. Want to start chant flight?
Let's go chant flight. I've got pictures here ready to go.
Let's roll right through it. Champ flight, gross champ. And this, Travis mentioned this earlier. We had one red number in the field all day. Doesn't happen often in these events. Just kind of shows the difficulty that Cedar was playing. And that score was a 3 under 69 by Seth Henry. So Seth Henry, great playing, 69, the only under par round of the tournament. That was good enough for a 4-shot lead.
That's a great score.
That is a 69 with a double. With a double on hole number 3.
Seth is playing really, really good golf right now.
15, I heard.
I think he made a deuce on 15 or 16, I believe I remember him saying.
Yeah, 15.
I love dropping deuces.
Another deuce on the card. Another
I
deuce
love
on the card on a par 4.
Twos from the fairway are cool. Seth Henry looked really good. Playing his body language was good. His swing looked good.
When doesn't he look good?
His mother and father were there following along, which I love to see. I think that's great.
Good. Yep.
Shout out Mr. and Mrs. Henry. They were there cheering along, clapping, and I mean, he shot 33 on the back nine. I mean, that's awesome. Bottom of the hill played easier for Seth for sure.
guys.
And there was just a skip to his step. I mean, he was in it. He was grooving it. Congratulations to Seth, 150 points and first place gross gift card. Awesome victory cookie.
So I found the 2020 PC Open and I put it back in its correct category, but I just saw something that shocked me. Over 2 rounds, Champ Flight had 0 others on hole 9, and we had 3 in 1 round at the last tournament. That's weird, right?
I'm gonna attribute that to the speed of the fairway.
Yeah,
that would be my most likely outcome.
It played
there.
under par. It played 4.71 for 2
so
rounds.
It played 1.3 shots higher this past weekend than it did over 2 rounds 2 years ago. I mean, that's awesome.
Love it.
And that
crazy.
tournament not being in the database in the correct spot led me to an inaccurate statement early in the show. We hadn't been back to Cedar Creek for a stroke play event in 2 years.
2 years.
Apologize.
Correct.
Wow.
All right, DH, who did we have in the
Yep, we're rolling. We're going on the net side of Champ Flight. Our very own Jason Sandoval, Tour Ambassador Jason Sandoval. With a shot
look
lead.
at that girl.
Look at that. Even DeCosmo getting in a picture.
He's just a participant.
Random tournament participant.
Random tournament participant is what I have him.
Congratulations, Patrick, on your 4th place net finish.
Make sure to buy yourself half a beer with that gift card.
You think he took
victory?
it to
Look at those
Scotland with
victory
him?
cookies, man. They are super
They're great.
cool.
I know.
Shout out to Laura Lewis and the Cake Place.
Those are my new favorite. I'll be honest.
Khaki
really
shorts
like
and a Yeti hat for Sando. We got his outfit pegged.
Well, that's congratulations to all Champ Flighters. I know, Dustin, you won a gift card. Roman Ramirez, Patrick DeCosmo on the net side, and Eli Tafono, Stephen Evans, and Sean Vidal round out the gift card winners in Champ Flight. Congratulations to everybody there. Cedar Creek was a test. 1 red number. When was the last time we had 1 red number only? I don't
have to think that's been a long time.
Let's go find out.
All right, let's keep moving while Bird's looking for that stat.
DH, take us through first.
First flight, start the gross. Zach Johnson, +3 rounds, 75, very respectable there. That was good enough for another 4-shot lead over second place over our very own MD there.
Zach is back.
MD valiant effort there, but Zach was a little too much to catch there at the end. He's playing well, 75, again, very respectable, fast, quick, hard Cedar Creek.
Yep.
And then
we got the net side.
The front 9 played easier for Zach.
For MD.
On the board.
We're gonna go to the net side. Tim DeHoyas, 2021 South Texas Match Play Challenge team member. Tim DeHoyas gets it done on the net side, 7 under 65 over Ruben Ramirez, 3-shot lead there. So good to see Timmy D back in the winner's circle, collecting cookies, collecting gift cards. He always comes out. He brings you energy. He hangs around. Good job, Tim.
Good high fiver. Tim DeHoyas is a good high fiver for sure. Man, I mean, first flight playing the Blacks at Cedar. Standard operating procedure for the Alamo City Golf Trail Tour and stroke play events. If first flight is single digits through the whole field, they will play the Tour Black Tees as well. So that's the reason why first flight was on the Blacks at Cedar. The whole flight was single digit handicaps. 4.5 to 8 is what it was, I believe. 8 point something. So again, very close there. MD Rick Perry and Greg Keogh round out the gift cards on the gross side. Ruben Ramirez, Masters champion Mark Kacheski, and new tour golfer Freddie Freiberg round out the net gift card winners. Congratulations, first flighters.
Yep, thanks, Travel. Roll right along. Second flight, keep it on the gross side. Ray Kang back in the winner circle. Ray, 2021 South Texas Match Play Challenge team member as well. So, Ray coming on strong in the summer season, trying to earn another spot. That's one way to do it. Get in the winner circle, get those bonus points, get them early, get them while you can. But good job, Ray Kang. And second place gross, Steve Roberts. Steve Roberts qualified for at least one STMPC challenge team in the past. So good to see Steve. Steve, I believe, won his flight last week at Willow.
Yep.
I'm sorry, 2 weeks ago at Willow. Now second gross here. So Steve kind of coming on. Is he going to kind of bring the heat for the rest of the summer season? We'll see,
Steve Robert.
He controls his own destiny.
Steve Roberts, the front nine, played easier as well by a mark of 10 strokes easier.
Good job, Steve.
On the front nine. Steve played great on the front nine, carding a 39. That is great score for a second flighter.
Yeah.
And then had to spend the rest of the back nine going double bogey, bogey, double bogey, 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 double finish to finish second place gross in second flight.
I'm sure he appreciates you running through each hole there.
Well, I mean,
and there was just a 2-shot difference.
And there's just a 2-shot difference. Yes,
So,
exactly. That scorecard is exactly how a lot of people are going to feel at the 9-9. Scramble on the front nine, alternate shot of the back nine. Yes, exactly. That is a Steve Roberts scorecard from Cedar Creek. Yes.
And on the net side, we had our first scorecard playoff. Jeremy Semlinger and Scott Cunningham. Jeremy takes it on the first playoff hole. So great job there, Jeremy, getting it done on the net side.
Look at that
and
outfit.
Scorecard playoff.
Scorecard playoffs. Scorecard playoffs for bonus points are exceptionally brutal.
Yeah.
And I love that. Every shot matters. The number 1, 2, 3 handicap hole on the scorecard matter. That is 40, 50. That's a 55-point swing on a scorecard playoff. That's important. We say every point matters. Every stroke correlates to a point. And Jeremy winning that scorecard playoff over Scott gave Jeremy 55 points more than Scott's distribution.
So again, always good to remember those number 1, number 2, number 3 handicap holes on the course. Keep that in mind when you're playing your round. You never know when it could come down to a scorecard playoff. So
Steve Robert, Tyler Pascal, and David Thomas round out the gift cards for second flight on the gross side. And then Scotty Cunningham, Dennis Danowski, and Chris Walker round out the gift cards on the net side. I want to point out that net scoreboard has no red numbers on it for second flight. That's how tough Cedar was. Yep. No red numbers net. There is a home for everybody on the Alamo City Golf Trail Tour.
Yeah.
All right, rolling right along. Third flight, gross, our winner, Tim Blunt. Tim Blunt, 5-shot lead over our second place Juan Benitez. So
great round, Tim.
Great playing, Tim Blunt.
I don't believe really we have a picture of Tim, but that is great round. 41-40. Back nine played easier for Timmy B. But we don't have a picture of Tim. Congratulations. I hope your victory cookie was awesome.
But I believe we got one of our net winner, Edward Kenny. It was he had a 3-shot victory over Brian Spencer there. So
hell of a shirt.
Great job, Edward. Great bad birdie shirt. Yep, love it. I told him that I loved it there.
Damn, brand shout out.
Tell him to keep the shirt game coming for MD. But
sorry,
3-shot lead there over Brian Spencer on the net side. 4 under score net. Great. So, good playing. Good playing at Cedar.
And Juan Benitez, Jason Cross, and Robert Bender round out the gift cards on the gross side for third flight. 90 got third place gross. 90 got fourth place gross. So good rounds by third flighters. And then Brian Spencer, Michael Montgomery, and Roy Medina round out the net gift cards for third flight. Congratulations, all you gift card winners.
And then to round it out, fourth flight, probably my new favorite name on tour on the gross side, Callum Stonehouse, with a 5-shot lead over Reggie Williams. Again, 5-shot lead, 88, great score to win the fourth flight. I mean, I think Callum's new on tour.
Yes, yeah. This past season, really good guy, really good scores, and that's a 5-shot lead in fourth flight. That may be enough to get Callum into third flight in future stroke play events. I mean, that was a good round.
Promotion.
I love getting promoted. And then to round it out on the net side, 3-shot victory over Zeke Martinez, Roland Torres with a net victory there. Roland's collected a couple cookies now this season, I believe. So
we've seen a couple pictures of him.
Yeah, this game is clicking right now. You know, he's got something to say about, any of you thinking you're going to take top 3 in the summer season. You have to watch out for Roland. So keep it up, guys. Like Travis said, I believe 5 events left in the summer season. Every event matters. Every point matters. Oftentimes it's going to come down to the last shot, the last day, and we can't emphasize that enough. So sign up early. Everything's selling out. You know that's going to happen. So sign up early.
I agree completely. Reggie Williams, Michael Giampietro, and Brian Perlberg round out the gift cards for fourth flight on the gross side. And then we got Zeke Martinez, Tony Floyd, and Roy Ortiz rounding out the gift cards on the net side. Congratulations, all gift card winners from Cedar Creek. We know you earned it. Cedar Creek was tough. Yes. It was hot. It was fast. It was furious. And it was fun.
So Travis, let's talk about point standings. I think Cedar's a really good example of look at some of our winners, look at some of our top finishers there. These big guys
jumps, lots of big jumps in the point standings. We're starting to see it separate. Yeah, let's pull it up and let's talk about. Check out that graphic on the top there.
Golly,
that is great.
Love it.
That is the podcast. That's the podcast graphic right there. This is your 2022 summer season point standings, top 10 following event number 3 at Cedar Creek. So event number 1 at Northern Hills, 2 at Willow Springs, 3 at Cedar Creek. Sean Vidal stays number 1, but the gap closes a little bit there by Roland Torres, up 10 spots to tied for second. Tim Bowers stays in the top 3, slips 1 spot to T2. So those are your top 3 right now. Sean Vidal, Roland Torres, and Tim Bowers. The top 3 is important because they automatically qualify for the 2022 South Texas Match Play Challenge team. Top 3 in the summer season automatically qualify. Jeremy Semlinger up 9 spots to number 4 with his net win. Mark Kacheski down just a spot to number 5. Steve Robert jumps 4 spots from 10 to 6. Here's our biggest mover, Tim DeHoyas, jumps 26 spots to number 7. And then we have 3 T8s, Ernie Cannon, Greg Graff, and Michael Montgomery rounding out the top 10 following summer event number 3. And I think that Sean Vidal staying first, I think we're going to see a lot of good golf from Sean. He's practicing a ton. He's super engaged right now. His drives are amazing. He's putting fabulous. I think I think we see Sean stay up there. He is an anomaly in the top 10 because he's already on the team. So his spot would jump to number 4. So all of a sudden, the 4th spot becomes really important.
He told me he's coming for DH.
Those were his exact words. He is coming for Player of the Year. Player of the Year on tour is defined by most points earned. Spring plus summer plus the playoffs. And folks, you're looking at him, number 1 in the point standings in the spring season there, Dustin Hassan. What do you got to say? Your name is currently missing from that top 10 graphic, but Sean's remains.
Can we get a
it's 3 events in. I think I'm sitting at 215, 220, 225, 225 points or so. So, Player of the Year is definitely on my radar. It's something. It's nothing I really thought about until I was in a position to really kind of say, hey, I can win this spring season. So, got to turn it on a little bit. You're right. Sean's playing great golf. He finished spring season playing well. He's carried that over into the summer season. He's been here before. He knows the game. Don't expect him to falter. So, I'm gonna have to play well if I plan on, achieving that goal. Because Sean's gonna bring it week in and week out.
Yeah, I agree completely. And the full point standings will be always updated online the following day after the podcast. So we want to show the top 10 graphic on the podcast every week. And then Wednesday, the full point standings will be put up on the website with a link on the Facebook page and a link in the tour newsletter that pretty commonly goes out on Wednesdays.
And Travis, I think a good call out here is if you look at all those names, just about every flight is represented here, which I think is really cool too.
Champ flight, Sean Vidal. 4th flight, Roland Torres. 3rd flight, Tim Bowers. 2nd flight, Semlinger. 2nd flight, Kacheski. 2nd flight, Robert. First flight, Tim DeHoyas.
No.
4th flight, Ernie Cannon. 3rd flight, Greg Graff. 3rd flight, Michael Montgomery. That is a great point, MD. And we talk about equity across the flights so much that is the true core strategy of the tour is every flight is playing for the same point distribution and the same prize money. So there are technically 5 tournaments in one or 6 tournaments in one, and they're all playing for the same thing. So that's where you get the representation from flights across the board. I mean, let's look at the spring. Dustin spent half the spring in first flight, half the spring in champ flight. He finishes first. Sean Vidal. Willie Nichols is a 3rd, 4th flighter. Scott Williams is a 2nd, 3rd flighter. So there is representation from all of the flights in the 4 people who qualified in the spring with that 3-way tie. So I think that is really cool. And I love the point standings. I think that it's such a cool correlation from the course to the combined point standings. And I love seeing it about this time in the regular season is where it really starts to separate. The cut line starts to separate and move higher. And the top 15 to 20 people start pulling away from 20 to 50. And it's fun to see. And then it's fun to see who wins a double points event like the one we have coming up at Brack. And then it's fun to see who sticks it out in the sizzling summer Southside Swing. That is Riverside and Mission Del Lago on your own. And then I believe there's a partner event back at Northern Hills. And then we're at Olmos Basin for the Players Open Championship. And then we're talking playoffs. Wow. So I think it's a comment on the point standings before we turn it over to Bird on future registrations.
Bird, have it.
I think it's great. I mean, listen, I love the, it gives you something to chase for every week. You know exactly where you're at. You know what you have to do. And it's just kind of it keeps you reaching for more. So I mean I love it. I love the point.
I agree with that statement completely, and I want to point something out, that the regular seasons absolutely mean something. The top 3 automatically qualify, and the top 50 get invited to the playoffs. You hear us say that a lot, but what you don't hear us say is that those top 50 players in spring and the top 50 players in summer start the playoffs with a respective amount of points based on the number they finished in the top 50. So every point down the stretch, even though you can't top 10 or even though you can't top 3, every place finish down the stretch determines your starting playoff in the points. Your starting point standings in the playoffs. I'm sorry, I got backwards there. And so it's really important to play your best golf down the stretch, whether you can top 3 or top 10 or top 25 or top 50, because there's a big difference between finishing 50th with another place in the spring and getting your bonus points to start the playoffs. There's such a premium on the regular season in regards to where you start the playoffs. So just because you don't top 5 or top 10 or top 3 doesn't mean that every point doesn't matter down the stretch. Every point matters. Every point matters in the regular season.
Amen.
Yes, I agree completely. I'm sorry, I'm just shouting out on one of Steven's comments there. 37th in starting playoffs. Tour champion, defending tour champion, started 37th. I mean, every point matters. Let's turn it over to Berg. Berg, let's talk registration. We've got 2 events currently open for registration. We've got the Brackenridge Park 9-9 coming up on July the 24th. And then we have an individual stroke play event open for registration at Riverside, and that is August 7th. That is Sunday. We've got back-to-back Sunday events.
Yep.
How does Brackenridge Park look? Do we still have spots left?
Yeah, fortunately for us, we have the first tee time and kind of are still 2 weeks out, so we don't have to really define our tee times. 8 days out, right? Yep. I was just pouring through old tournaments to see what our record for a tournament is, and what do you remember as the highest? Because the one I remember as being the highest is so far the highest I have found.
I believe there was 146 players at a Riverside 2-person event.
There was 148 in 2020 at the Northern Hills Best Ball.
Okay.
And there was also 148 at a 2-man at Mission Del Lago. So those are the 2 I was thinking of, and I couldn't find any higher. We are already at 148 with 2 weeks to go. If everything sold out online, we would have 200 golfers.
Wow.
That is first tee time at Brackenridge Park until we need to go. So sign up, be part of the biggest event in tour history coming up in 2 Sundays.
They have to sign up early because we have to turn in our sheet a week out so they can book open play, right? So if you wait, we're not sold out yet technically, but in 8 days we sure could be. You know what I'm saying?
So if you want to play in this event, let's sign up today or tomorrow, because I bet you were having that conversation with the trail Thursday, Friday for sure.
Right. They're going to want to know how many carts we need, all that stuff, you know.
Woo! 200 golfers in a tour event would be
wow.
I mean, it's almost a certainty we'll be at 150, 160s in the bell curve, and then 200 is the outside number. I mean, it could get to 200 if we get enough signups this week.
Thank you so much to everybody who's watching. Thank you so much for playing on tour. We say it week in and week out. The tour doesn't survive without the tour golfer, and it is our job to make tournament golf accessible to golfers of all skill levels and equitable to golfers of all skill levels. And the Alamo City Golf Trail Tour is your home for that. So thank you to all the tour golfers who have made the tour the home of amateur golf and the authority on amateur golf in South Texas. Thank you so much. The tour doesn't exist without the tour golfer. I'm blown away. To have the largest field ever in a summer season event is in a new format. It is so cool. I'm speechless.
I think 200.
When it's going to be 100+ degrees out, people want to come out. I mean, that just it tells you.
Yeah.
And that, I think, speaks volumes to what the tour has done in the last 24 months. I think it speaks volumes to, the product that's being put out there, and everyone who already knows about it, everyone who's learning about it, those people that are coming out for the first time are coming back because the experience, the competition, the people, it's just unmatched. And I mean, it's a really great thing.
Tournament golf that is accessible to everybody, that is a comfortable and social atmosphere. That is the Alamo City Golf Trail Tour in a nutshell. The product never stops for the four of us. We are here all the time for the tour golfer. We are here 24/7. Email us. Our contact information is on the website. www.acgttour.golf is your home for the Alamo City Golf Trail Tour information, from registration to point standings to the handicap database, to playoff information, to links to the Facebook page where you get the most up-to-the-minute pictures, links, leaderboards. Follow us on Facebook. Watch the podcast. Share the podcast. Guys, we are here for you. We will be here talking as long as you'll listen. Thank you to the tour golfer. MD, I'll turn it back over to you. That's all I got to say right now. I'm blown away by the volume of registration, and I'm going to...
We'll just leave it at that.
Get used to it, Steven. If it gets to 200, I'm going to give you that 640 tee time, buddy.
We'll go off first, Evans.
I mean,
DH.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Super excited for the weekend coming up here in 2 weeks. Obviously, we're going to have a lot of golfers. It's going to be a lot of stuff going on. Super excited to get out there and play, see everybody. Looking forward. Hey, I want to see everyone in teams. I'm going to be doing pictures. I want to get pictures of every single group that is dressed and looking like a team. Excited to see that. And just excited to see everyone having some fun out there. It's going to be a new format. It's going to be a really good time. And we're back at Brack, baby.
We are back at Brack, baby. Let's see some good team outfits. I would love to see some Facebook eye candy of some super cool outfits. We've got a couple tour hats left. It's Brackenridge Park is in great shape. I'm excited to be back at Brack. It's our home. It's where the tour started. And I'm excited to be there with the largest field in tour history. I mean, that's awesome.
This is Brack's coming out party again. It's back.
I think we need to do kind of like a parody back at Brack ACDC kind of thing.
I love it. Let's go. I mean, we could do the little in sync, you know.
We could do instead of bye, we can go Brack.
I love it. That's my core wheelhouse, late 90s, that's where I live.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Wow. Anybody else have anything to add before we wrap it up? We've been on the air for a little bit longer than we talked. Jason Bird predicted an hour and 45-minute show. He's been spot on lately.
Spot on.
MD, you want to go around the horn and take us away?
Yeah, let's DH. Let's start it off.
Yeah, listen, great show tonight. Great banter. Love the stats as always. Congratulations to our winners from Cedar. It tested you. It was not easy, but you got the job done. So congratulations to all our winners out there. Looking forward to like MD said, getting back to Brack. It's been a while. Looking forward to tearing that place up, man. But thanks for joining us tonight. Y'all been great.
Awesome. Jay Bird, what do you got?
You just end the broadcast. I'm done talking to you guys.
Lick.
He's sick of us.
Travi, anything else?
When you guys are out there this weekend playing your practice rounds, remember that the golf courses are full across the city of San Antonio, the region. Golf is hot. The tour is hot. The temperature is hot. Sand your divots, repair your ball marks, take care of the golf courses. Be kind to golf course operators is my closing thoughts. Be nice to that kid standing behind the counter on the weekends. He's talked to a bunch of people that day face to face, and he's doing his best. Put yourself in their shoes. Those are my closing thoughts. I don't know why I can't say that tonight at the end of the podcast. We had a great show. It was so fun to be here.
Yeah.
We'll fill every Tuesday night that you'll allow us to be here with the Alamo City Golf Trail Tour Power Hour. My name is Travis Salkowski alongside Dustin, Hassan, and Jason Bird with your host is the most MD. Take us away, buddy.
Everyone out there, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Great job at Cedar. Looking forward to seeing everyone at Brack. And, it's just we got five more events left. It feels like the season's gone by super quick. It's unbelievable, but excited to finish strong. Get signed up. These tournaments fill up fast. We're going to have more players than we ever have. And remember, be kind to those people out on the golf course. It's hot. Stay hydrated. Take care of the golf course. You don't need to bring your own rake. Travis, correct?
You don't need to bring your own rake.
You
don't need
Can
to
I get the earliest tee time?
You don't need to practice on the golf course. Practice is for the driving range. The golf course is for playing.
Well, that was an interesting topic on the old Facebook earlier.
Yeah.
We'll save that for another day.
We're going to save that for another podcast when it's not so fresh because I'm hot about that. That was one of those. That was one of those Facebook comments where I called Jason and I'm like, "Hey, Jason, can you reply to this one for me because I can't."
We'll jump on that at another day, but
we will. Thank you everybody for watching.
Yep.
We'll see you next week, Tuesday, 8:30 on the ACGT Tour Power Hour. Check us out on Facebook and our homepage on the World Wide Web, www.acgttour.golf. Y'all have a great Tuesday night.
Love y'all. Appreciate it. Have a good night.